somewhere along the way, we've created this whole perspective and notion that wanting more is a bad thing. But I want to dispel that. I want you to know that you absolutely are okay, just fine, wanting more. In fact, I believe that you are like me in that you secretly want things that you're afraid to admit to yourself. And what I want to empower this month, especially since it's Women's History Month, is that it is okay for you to want more. And I want to support you in your journey to accomplishing, to doing, to being, and to having the more that you want. So here's my special invitation for you to visit my website. It's new. It's www.womenwantmore.live. And if you fit that criteria where you want more, then you're going to want to check out what I have going on at my website today. Well, welcome to I'm the Good Thing, the podcast. This is the place where we unpack life wisdom. We pray, we affirm, and most of all, we discover our true beauty, our worth, and our power. I'm Denise Taylor, and I'm all about helping women build a life they love. And that begins with us believing everything good about who God created us to be. Now, this is the place where we get energized in a God kind of way as we see ourselves the way God sees us. And let me tell you, sis, you are good. Our life wisdom for today is this: those unwilling to learn, no one can help. Those determined to learn, no one can stop. And as I considered today's life wisdom, here's what's coming up for me. Maybe you can relate to it. I settled in on the fact that if you will become a lifelong learner, you will be unstoppable. Becoming a lifelong learner will absolutely revolutionize your life. Opening yourself up to being willing to learn will change the game for you. But unfortunately, for many of us, we have hindrances to us being willing to lean into learning that can change our lives. And so I want to talk about 4 things that may be standing in the way of you really being open to learn. The first one is this: you have to be willing to admit you don't know everything. Yep, you don't know everything. And unfortunately, we have grown up with a perspective that not knowing is a flaw. We have been taught that we should fake it until we make it. But what happens when you refuse to acknowledge what you don't know is that you don't call in, you don't allow God to bring to you the things that you need because you're so busy acting as if you already know. So being willing to be honest with yourself about what it is you don't know will allow the doors to open for what you need to learn. And so if you're willing to admit it, you set yourself up for success. But if you continue to fake it or act as if you already know, then you are discrediting the process that is intended to help you grow and be unstoppable. The next thing is many of us allow these 3 things to stand in the way. We allow our pride to stand in the way. We allow envy to stand in the way, and we sometimes allow jealousy to stand in the way. In fact, they don't just stand in the way, they stop you. When you allow pride to set in, it sets you up to not be welcoming to the help you may need. You may say to yourself, how can I learn from someone younger than me? You may say to yourself, who does she think she is because of what she's accomplished? You may even say to yourself, I wish I had what she has. Those 3 perspectives war against your availability to learn. And so you have to be willing to put pride aside. You have to be willing to put envy aside. You even have to put jealousy aside if someone has your answer. And be willing to be honest with yourself so that you can get the support and help that you need that may be tied to someone who brings forth those types of feelings in your life. You have to be willing to let pride go, envy go, and jealousy go. The next thing is you have to be intentional. It doesn't just happen. You got to seek after it. When you begin to get hungry and thirsty and seek after it, God promises to fulfill your hunger and thirst. That intentionality is going to call in everything that you need for your journey. You have to be open to it when it comes. You have to be intentional about seizing the moment when it happens. But without your intentionality, without you being very deliberate about what it is that you need to know, you limit your ability to excel. And then finally, you have to be willing to apply what it is that you learn. Many of us become hoarders of knowledge and hoarders of information. We're so good gathering intel. We're so good gathering knowledge, but we fall down when it comes to applying it. You see, applied knowledge is wisdom. You knowing something and failing to act on what you know or failing to act in accordance with what you understand is meaningless. You have to be willing to apply what you've learned. Those things are marks of a lifelong learner. A lifelong learner will admit what they don't know. A lifelong learner will not let pride, envy, or jealousy stand in the way. A lifelong learner will be intentional. A lifelong learner will apply what they've learned. And you have to acknowledge, you've got to acknowledge that a lifelong learner is always unstoppable. So I want you to assess yourself. I want you to look at where you're at. I want you to really begin to ask yourself, what do I need to know? Is pride standing in the way of me getting the information I need? Am I being intentional? Am I applying what I already have learned? And when you begin to really assess yourself from that perspective, believe me, you will be unstoppable. Thanks for connecting with me today. If this was a help to you, apply what stood out most to your life. And if you loved it, subscribe so you can meet me here next time. And if you were moved, then share this with someone else. Keep seeing yourself the way God sees you. After all, you are the good thing. And visit my website, imthegoodthing.com, for all sorts of good stuff. And I'll see you next time.